Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Mikey's Saturday Nightmares. All right, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I wanted to get the video done earlier, but it just didn't happen, so here we are. We're going to do it right now. Coffee's great. Coffee's great. All right, so today's movie that we're going to talk about came out on October 30th of 1998. I'm pretty sure it was 98. I've got 88, but I'm pretty sure it was 98. Uh, and it was directed by John Carpenter, who also directed such great films as Prince of Darkness, The Ward, and one called Cigarette Burns. Now, I have not seen The Ward, and Cigarette Burns was on the Masters of Horror collection that came out in the series. And I've only seen it one time, and I absolutely liked it. I loved it. Prince of Darkness, what can I say? Alice Cooper. Uh, it had the dude that played in the crime drama Simon and Simon. I can't think of his name right off the bat. He played in it. B.D. Wong was in it, I believe, is who that was. That was in Big Trouble in Little China. It was a great film. Great film. A little on the weird side. A little on the weird side, but, it is what it is. It's John Carpenter. It's great. Okay? All right. And the film that we're going to be talking about tonight is called John Carpenter's Vampires. Now, this was a great film. I actually went to the movie theaters and seen this when it first came out. Went by myself, had a fantastic time. And it stars the great James Woods, who plays the character of Jack Crow. And he also played in such films as The Hard Way, and that was with Michael J. Fox. That was a great comedy. That was a great comedy film. And he also played in John Q, and that was with Denzel Washington. That was another great film. Another great film. And he also played in the action movie White House Down, and that was with Jamie Foxx and Channing Tatum. Yeah, that was a good movie too. I enjoyed that movie. James Woods was the villain in that movie. And the film also stars Daniel Baldwin, who plays the character of Anthony Montoya, and he's also played in such films as Harley Davidson and The Marlboro Man with Don Johnson and Mickey Rourke. Excellent film. Excellent film. He also played in the film Nothing But Trouble, and that was with Chevy Chase and Demi Moore, which that movie was pretty funny film. And he also played in the drama Born on the 4th of July, and that was with Tom Cruise. Excellent film. If you have not seen that film, definitely go back and check that film out. It was fantastic. And the film also stars Thomas Ian Griffith, who played Jean Valek, or Valak as they call him in the movie. And he also played in such films as Karate Kid 3. He was the bad guy. He was one of the bad guys. He also had a little cameo in Triple X, and that was the first of the Triple X series with Vin Diesel. And he also played in the film Call the Conqueror, and that was with Kevin Sorbo, back when Hercules was big. All right, so the plot for this film is recovering from an ambush that killed his entire team. A vengeful vampire slayer must retrieve an ancient relic that should it be acquired by vampires will allow them to walk in the sunlight. All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for John Carpenter's Vampires. Here we go.
Have you ever seen a vampire? Forget whatever you've seen in the movies. It's not like they're seducing everybody in sight with cheesy Eurotrash accents, all right? They don't turn into bats. Crosses don't work. If you want to kill one, you drive a wooden stake right through his heart. We think we got a nest inside this place. And chances are we'll find a master in here somewhere.
I know your parents were bitten by vampires and you were raised by the church to be its master slayer.
No one knows vampires better than he does.
Open wide, baby.
But he met his match when he met the master who started it all, Jack Crow.
He was a priest. It's the first known case of vampirism.
The first and most powerful. You are the only one who faced Alec and survived.
The master vampire has a telepathic link with his victims. You're gonna help us find them.
It's a cross.
For 600 years, Valak has wanted to live in the daylight. A master vampire able to walk in the sun, unstoppable.
Biggest nest of blood drinking mothers the world has ever known. Time to kill some vampires.
Step behind us! Come on, come on!
You can't kill me. James Woods. From the master of terror comes a new breed of evil. John Carpenter's vampires.
You never told me they could do that.
I didn't know they could do that.
Alright, that was the trailer for John Carpenter's Vampires. It was estimated a budget of $20 million, and it only grossed $20,308,772. Not very good for a John Carpenter flick. At that point in time in his career, he started to kind of slump a little bit. And, you know, most directors do. They have good movies and they have bad movies, you know. And some hit more often than others for a longer period of time. Vampires has everything we all love this director for. It has a good cast, a classic plot that's not original, and it has typical action scenes of level B action movies. It is in its own way as stark and streamlined as the best samples of its genre. The cinematography is just perfect with the right mixture of visual and non-visual storytelling. The dialogue is engagingly humorous throughout, feels real, and allows each character his or her own voice. James Woods was perfect as the sardonic, illusion-free Jack Crow, and his brushing campiness with the tip of a finger, yet withdrawing just in time, is priceless. Baldwin makes the most of his character arc, nicely underplaying his role while managing to convey Montoya's journey by minimal changes of expression or voice. Montoya had, in my opinion, Montoya had just as much of a role in this movie as the lead character, James Woods. There was parts where we focused more on what Montoya was doing rather than what Woods was up to, even though Woods was the lead character in the film. But Daniel Baldwin does his part and portrays his character the way he feels it should have been portrayed, and it worked out perfectly for this film. Cheryl Lee gives what I believe is one of the strongest supports I've seen in a while. Thomas Ian Griffith delivers a great performance as the head vampire Valak and had several fine moments in the film. The entire supporting cast was refreshing in their non-Hollywood realistic natural look and acting. This film was meant to be an entertaining popcorn movie to relax to and go with and go on with your life. Carpenter keeps the story very clear and very simple. He doesn't try to create any unnecessary plot twists or minor characters. Uh, Basically, you have a head vampire who wants to walk during the daylight, and to do that, he needs a ancient relic called the Bergier Cross. So he and several other master vampires are hunting for this Bergier Cross, while Jack Crow is trying to figure out what they're hunting for and why. Um, when Valak attacks and kills his original crew, uh, James Woods captures one of the vampires that was one of the victims of Valak, and of course, as you saw in the trailer, they have a link, a mental link, and he uses her to get to Valak to find out what he's up to and how to stop him. So it's a very simple plot, and like I said, it's not overplayed to where it's like some big mystery as to what the plot is. It's pretty simple, laid back kind of film. Based on the novel Vampires by John Stakely, this is a good, violent film that displays action-packed thrills, fast-paced, and wild fighting images. This is a great, entertaining film you should not miss. Um, Jack Crow's Jack Crow. James Woods is fantastic in this film as Jack Crow. Jack Crow has this grit about him, and I mean, he has he has a backstory, and it does go through and explain his backstory. So you're not confused on his attitude is and why he has such an attitude in the film. Um, Thomas Ian Griffith, I thought, was the perfect guy to play this character. Um, Even though he hadn't really done, I don't think he'd really done a whole lot as far as like in theater type movies other than Karate Kid. Um, he had done some direct to DVD action movies that were very good. Uh, they were really good. He even had one that was with the great James Earl Jones, and it was a great film. Executive, not executive decision. I can't remember the name of the film, but it was a very good film. And he had a movie called Cracker Jack that was really good. But his main claim to fame was, of course, the Karate Kid Part Three. So and he done very well in this film. And I'm honestly glad John Carpenter cast him for that role because I thoroughly enjoy watching this guy act. I was never really a well, I don't want to say I wasn't a fan of James Woods, but I'd really never watched a whole lot of stuff with James Woods in it until after I watched, of course, Vampires, and then I started going back and watching some of his earlier stuff, like The Hard Way with Michael J. Fox, which is a great comedy film. He's an actor that deserves the status that he has, for sure. Now we're gonna get into some trivia on this film. All right, here we go. Carpenter had a good working relationship with James Woods. Apparently, Woods had a rep for being hard to work with. They had a deal. Carpenter would film one scene as it was intended, or as it was written, I'm sorry, as it was written in the script. The other, Woods would get to improvise. Carpenter found many of Woods' suggestions brilliant. Okay, so I could kind of see where you would probably get the idea that James Woods is hard to work with, especially if his attitude is the same as this character, Jack Crow. But, I mean, it's good to have a working relationship with the director, of course. So that's pretty cool that he got to improvise some of these scenes, and it was cool of Carpenter to let him do that. For this film, Carpenter wanted to stay away from the stereotype of gothic vamps and wanted to make his vamps savages and not be brooding loneliness in their existence. They're too busy ripping people apart, Carpenter quoted. Okay, this I like. Um, I'm not a big fan of the Twilight type vampires. I'm sorry. Vampires aren't supposed to sparkle. Um, they're supposed to be brutal. Now, I didn't mind the Dracula with Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman. That was a really good film, and it kind of played into the love aspect a little bit more than, well, probably about equal. But Carpenter, I think Carpenter was right in doing this film the way he did because these vampires in this film are brutal savages. They are mean. So yeah, I mean it's good that he did them that way. Despite being a horror movie, Carpenter stated in the audio commentary on the film that he did this movie because it closely resembled a western to him. Okay, yeah, I kind of get that. It's got that gritty, uh, you know, road trip kind of vibe music to it, and the storyline is good versus evil, and all that. So yeah, that kind of plays into it pretty well. I like that. I like that. All right. Following the failure of Escape from L.A., Carpenter tossed around the idea of retirement due to it not being fun anymore. But when he was offered to make this film and was intrigued by the promise of making a horror western hybrid, something he had wanted to do since the 70s, he made a deal with himself to do this film. And if he didn't find it fun after doing this film, then he would retire. He would go on to enjoy directing this film, which is fantastic. I would have hated to see. Well, I mean, I understand that once you're doing something, if it's not fun anymore, I can see why you would want to step away because it just turns into work instead of being fun. So, yeah, I kind of get that. This was Carpenter's only successful film of the 1990s. Wow, that sucks. Because he had a lot of great films that I thought were great films that come out in the 90s. A lot. Bruce Campbell was Carpenter's choice to play Anthony Montoya. Campbell could have done it. There's no doubt in my mind Bruce Campbell could have played that role and he would have been good. He would have added his own flavor to it. That would have been awesome to see. All right, just before production began, the studio cut the budget by two-thirds, and the filmmakers had to furiously rework the story to fit it. According to John Stickley, who wrote the novel, the finished film contained much of his dialogue and none of his plot, which kind of sucks. I mean, it was a good movie. The plot was good the way it was, but I would have liked to have seen. I guess I could read the book and maybe and find out what his plot was for the film. But that sucks. They cut the budget. Anytime you have to cut a budget, it sucks. And it hurts the movie more than it does anything else. It really does. All right. The search to find an actor to play Jack Crow proved difficult. Carpenter wanted Kurt Russell. And of course, Kurt Russell played in some of other John Carpenter films. They had a great working relationship, so I could see why. But Russell declined due to prior commitments. Carpenter also wanted R. Lee Ermey, but the studio declined this due to his lack of star power. Um, I don't think I'm really familiar with R. Lee Ermey. or may. I mean, if I seen him, I'd probably know who they're talking about. But just by name, I'm not familiar with him. So I guess that's kind of the reason why they didn't want to go with him, because nobody really knew who he was. Uh, but I think if they would have got Kurt Russell to play this role, he would have done perfect at it. I mean, Kurt Russell with Bruce Campbell. I mean, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. The studio had offered Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones, and Danny Glover to play the role of Jack Crow. Uh, with all due respect, no. Uh, maybe Tommy Lee Jones, maybe. But Clint Eastwood, nah. I don't think he would have fit it, and Danny Glover damn sure wouldn't have fit it. I'm sorry, but he just wouldn't. Dolph Lundgren, who was originally attached to play Crow before Carpenter took over, was asked to return, but this time as the villain. But then he declined. Um, Lundgren wouldn't have fit as Jack Crow. I'm sorry, he wouldn't have, and he wouldn't have fit as Valak. I think the ones that they got and stuck with were the best decision. Well, other than Kurt Russell and Bruce Campbell. I would like to have seen what they could have done with the movie if they would have played those roles. It would have been fantastic, I'm sure. But the movie played out just fine the way it is. Finally, the film's climax, shot in Cerrillos, New Mexico, is the same town featured in Young Guns from 1988. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like to see that kind of stuff uh, in the trivia because it's pretty cool, especially when you can look at it and say, "Hey, I've seen that area before, or I've seen that house before," and then later find out that it was used in another one of your favorite films. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love Young Guns. Young Guns 2, it was okay. It was all right. It wasn't. I don't think it was as good as the first one, but it was okay. Not a bad film. Not a bad film. All right. So that being said, if you have not seen this, John Carpenter's Vampires, I think you'll like it. Like I said, like they say here, it's not considered as one of his best works. Um, but for me, it worked. It was entertaining. It was a popcorn movie that got you out of your regular day to day environment for an hour and a half, 90 some minutes, whatever it was. And it was a good film. I enjoyed it. I really did. Of course, I love the kind of like the low budget stuff. I kind of get into it more so than the big time rush, big time stuff. But anyways, it works. It works. All right. So, like I said in my classic movie buffet video on Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, there will be no Mikey Saturday Nightmares next weekend as I plan on being out of town. Uh, and I still am not sure if there will be a classic movie buffet next week. But like I said, I will keep you posted on YouTube, or if you are on the Facebook channel or the Facebook page that I have, um, I'll be posting on there too as to whether it's going to be there or not. I'll post on both, that way everybody will know. And then hopefully the following week in November, starting in November, I'll be able to get back onto it. And with that being said, I'm going to end the video here. So I guess I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.